The thing that is most amazing to me is the lying that goes on today. You are now teaching, I'm not making this up, we are teaching damage control and spin. I remember in this country we used to call spin lying. Now we call it spin and we study it and we admire it. How to put out a line of bull and have it fly for more than 24 hours and then they high-five each other because they beat the other side if it's another party or it's another candidate or it's another company, if it's one company with another with their annual report of their quarterly earnings or this or that. Public relations has overcome our whole society. It's all PR.
Many people are not aware that when you watch television, you are watching a program produced by a large multinational corporation that has enormous conflicts of interest.
General Electric and NBC is a perfect example. How can we be sure we're going to get the kind of information we need to have about the nuclear industry, about defense contracts and all of those things when NBC is beholden to this parent company? Why would they report on that? Of course they wouldn't. Why would ABC report on what's going on at Disney? They wouldn't. There's no point in it. And it's precisely for that reason that those companies want to own television stations in the first place, so that they can keep a check on those sorts of things.
General Electric has made it a very proud part of their policies that they are going to move jobs from the United States of America to China, to Mexico, any place in the world where they can get cheap labor. This suggests obviously that General Electric is deeply concerned about our trade policies. Over the years, General Electric has done its best not to pay taxes, or to pay as little as they can in taxes, taking advantage of all kinds of corporate welfare tax loopholes. Suggests very strongly that General Electric has an interest in tax policy. General Electric is a major polluter. Therefore, they're concerned about weakening environmental policies. It's not obviously just General Electric. It's the same thing with CBS or ABC. The conflicts of interest are enormous, and the result is that certain issues are talked about, certain issues are not talked about.
In close to 11 years, we've done more than 100 reports. The reports and investigations about public servants screwing up or systemic abuses of the public trust by public officials almost always get covered. We're the ones that broke the Lincoln bedroom scandal about the Clinton White House. We've done a lot of this kind of thing. When we do those stories, they get covered and the media jumps on them, frankly. We have a news conference. We normally have 50 or 60 reporters, 4 or 5 cameras. But I have to tell you, when we've investigated corporations, for some reason it just doesn't get covered. Media corporations don't cover the news when it comes to politics anymore. The political news coverage in 2000 was half what it was in 96. 96 was half what it was in 92. The third leading source of revenue for the media today, broadcast media, happens to be political ads. So if you're a politician, the only way you get heard is with ads. In 1981, the media was getting $80 million from political campaigns for ads. Today, the last campaign, they got $1 billion. That's why you've got to have millions of dollars to run for office as a politician. You're either a millionaire, you're able to raise large sums of money all day, dollar for dollars, and that's who goes into politics. And you are complicit in this system.
The level and quality of information available to the public. They clearly are wildly misled today by a propaganda apparatus that is associated with the entertainment industry. I mean, that dominates it for commercial and commercial reasons, commercial profit, from Fox News to Verizon's control of CBS, GE's control of NBC, Disney's control of ABC. There's hardly a word put out on it that you can believe, and if you actually know something about the subject before you hear it, you know what you just heard was not true. It happens all the time. Or the happy news that follows after the first 15 minutes. It's quite literally like listening to Pravda. And as the Russians used to say, no one reads Pravda to get the news. You read Pravda to get the line. You get the news from people you trust, from your own little radio, from some ways that from messages that friends transmit to you. I no longer read the New York Times for the news. I read it for the line.
Let's look at the media. Here's a quote from the Los Angeles Jewish Times on the huge conglomerates who overwhelmingly control the mass media. Quote, 4 of the largest 5 entertainment giants are now run or owned by Jews. Rupert Murdoch's News Corp is the only Gentile holdout. However, Rupert is as pro-Israel as any Jew, probably more so. That's from Los Angeles Jewish Times, October 29, 1999. In fact, even the 5th media conglomerate, News Corp, has a man of Jewish descent as its CEO. His name is Robert Chernin.
Ostensible diversity that conceals an actual uniformity.
The truth of the matter is that increasingly what we see, what we hear, and what we read is being controlled by fewer and fewer large multinational corporations.
People don't appreciate this. You know, in the last days of the Soviet Union, you had dozens of newspapers, dozens of magazines, all kinds of radio and television stations. The only problem is that all of that media was controlled by the Communist Party of the Soviet Union or the government of the Soviet Union. We are moving in that direction.
There is an illusion of choice that's maintained when you can have 100 channels on your cable system, and how many movies did the studios release a year now? All these different studios, and the music industry with so many labels, and magazine stands that go on and on and on forever. Well, the owners are a handful, 5, 6 different companies.
And that is a very dangerous development for those of us who believe in a vibrant American democracy.
Prudent people no longer believe what they hear. That is, the spokesman for the Department of Justice comes out and says, our highest priority is to maintain constitutional liberties. Well, obviously, anybody who's paid any attention in the United States in the last 2 years knows that the direct opposite is true.
About half an hour ago, it must be said that the police completely lost control. Let me explain exactly what happened. I'm at the end of Queen Street here. There was a large number of protesters behind this police cordon here, and that crowd grew and grew, and simply that line of police officers was not able to hold them back, and as a result they came flooding through here.
The view left Mercury.
They came flooding through here. I'd say there were about 200 of them, mainly young men, and they ran amok down this street. You might be able to see our satellite trucks down there. There's an ITV satellite truck down there as well, and our truck at least was attacked. We were so frightened at one stage that we actually had to lock ourselves in the truck. And these protesters then proceeded to smash up some of our equipment. Before running off down in that direction. And rather worryingly, it's in that direction that Highfields is, and Leicester is a city with a very large Asian population. and Highfields particularly is known as an Asian area, and there are unconfirmed reports that those youths who, as I say, were running amok here just 20 minutes ago are heading up in that direction.
The thing that is most amazing to me is the lying that goes on today. You are now teaching, I'm not making this up, we are teaching damage control and spin. I remember in this country we used to call spin lying. Now we call it spin and we study it.
In Saudi Arabia. CNN's Carl Rochelle is here with me, just came up. Carl, I know we can't be very specific given these restrictions, but within those parameters, what did you see?
Well, what I saw, I didn't see anything hit. I looked almost straight above us. There was a vapor trail coming from my right to my left, and there's a cloud of something. It looks like it might have been an explosion, a cloud. I'd say it was... You typed up. Okay. All right. My apologies for please putting on a gas mask. There hasn't been any gas dropped here that we could tell. You smell anything? No. You may smell some of the fumes from a missile exhaust going off.
And strategic warm water port for a country where much of its coastline is frozen in by ice, especially during the winter months. Part of why it is so valuable to Russia to have the Crimean Peninsula as a place where its Navy can move in and out of. And on top of that, and I'll remind you again, this is a U.S. Navy destroyer, the Truxtun, that sails normally out of Norfolk, Virginia. On top of that, the Russian military at this point is blockading a number of Ukrainian naval vessels in the Crimea at their home port. There's actually scuttled at least 2 ships to keep Ukrainian Navy ships from being able to move out from there. Earlier this week, announcing that the U.S. would step up joint air patrols over the Baltic Peninsula. That's a clear sign of support to Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland, 4 former Soviet satellite states, all very concerned right now, Jake, about the Russian military moves into Ukraine and into the Crimean Peninsula.
Jake? Senior international correspondent Ivan Watson with some excellent on-the-water reporting. Thank you so much.
To clarify what we're seeing in this video here, I mentioned that how it was impossible for a CNN or CIA reporter to be at the scene at the next day when no one else could get there. Well, it's obvious. I should have realised that it's green screen. This guy isn't at the scene. It's all green screen. It's made out to look like he is there. You can look at it closely. It is all fake. That's why they don't move the camera around, because they're not at the scene at all. They use this in other major events like the Gulf War and other places. This is fake. This guy is not at the scene, and anyone that believes in the mainstream media is an absolute buffoon.
He was just a bundle of energy, like he was supposed to be.
I understand he used to tell his siblings that he managed a taco factory.
Yes, that he was going to split his time as an adult between managing a taco factory and being an astronaut.
Oh, okay.
Which is an interesting juggling act, I'm sure.
How are you holding up? I mean,
most of the time I'm kind of numb, you know. I think about, and I think every mama out there can relate to the fact of how long it takes to create a baby, those 9 months that you watch every ultrasound and every heartbeat, and it takes 9 months to create a human being, and it takes seconds for an AR-15 to take that away from the surface of this earth. And it wasn't just my son, it was 25 other souls that left this earth that day because that weapon fell into the hands of a tormented soul. And
10 people were killed, though there is one report now saying 11 people were killed in that blast, but we know 10 members of one family. Also 2 media centers built. Whoa! Well, that was a rather large explosion. Yeah. That occurred, just look out here, I can't actually see where the that was. It's actually set off a number of car alarms, but that was probably the largest explosion that we've heard just in the past, really in the past hour. There have been a number of explosions in the last hour or two, but that one was pretty loud. We actually, the rockets continue to be fired from Gaza toward Israel. About 3 or 4 hours ago, there was actually quite a large rocket that was fired very close to, very close to this building where we are right now.
Whoa! Take him now! Take him now! Take him now! Somebody take him now! You can take him in.
All right, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Such a sweet little guy.
Yeah.
All right, well, you're blessed.
Yeah.
Brian, your husband, is blessed.
Brian.
Anders is blessed.
Brian.
Yeah, Brian. You like Brian, huh? That's your dad. But we're happy you're here. You guys did a great job. Yeah. And I guess you got to thank the Lord, right?
Yeah.
Do you thank the Lord for that split-second decision?
I'm actually an atheist.
Oh, you are? All right, don't thank the Lord. But you made the right call.
Yeah.
We're so happy that you're happy.
No.
A nice story.
You see the balls. Yeah.
The bowling balls. All right, he's 18 months old, and he's going to have a happy life.
Yeah.
All right, Rebecca, thank you.
Yes,
thank Brian, too.
Yeah.